What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Happy Friday. I'm so glad to be with you today, and I'm really excited about today's show. So you're with us on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert, and today we are talking about hope. It's never too late. It's never too late. This is a thing. It was a thing for me that I'll get into that in a minute. So what do we do here on the show? On Friday afternoons, if you are looking for some place to sort of top up your positivity, top up your ability to see yourself in a different way, think about things like changing your mindset. We talk about that every week. We talk about the subliminal soundtrack, and I'll tell you what that means in just a second. We talk about recognizing your unique beauty, your value, all of this amazing contribution that you are to the world. If you didn't know that before, this is a fantastic place to be on Friday afternoons. You can also find us on 450 plus media platforms, your on-demand channels, all that stuff, and on the ICN app in your app store. So we are all over the place. It's very exciting to be with you. We've grown so much just in the last year or the last few months that it is absolutely amazing every time I think about it. So today's show, here's what we're going to talk about today. There is a George Eliot quote. Oh, and I meant to bring the thing over. That's okay. It's a quote that I absolutely love. It says, "It's never too late to be what you might have been." I love this quote so much because when I first heard it, I was stuck and frustrated, and I'd begun to believe that there was no possibility or no hope that things could change in my life. I was stuck in this belief system about, what had happened in my life before that and what I had created for myself, and lack of choice and lack of all kinds of things, lack of possibilities, lack of the idea that something could change. I was very stuck. I was very locked up. And when I found this quote, and I'll share that story with you in a few minutes, when I found this quote, it actually started to shift something very important for me, because as I considered this idea, it's never too late, there was a part of me that thought, maybe, just maybe, something could change. Maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe I wasn't too old. Maybe I hadn't missed my only shot. Do you see what I'm saying? And that little teeny tiny shift of maybe was all it took to start this ball rolling that has led me down a path that has brought me here with you on Friday afternoons. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. When I talk about subliminal soundtrack, just in case you're new to the show, what I'm talking about is this loop of messages that plays in the back of your mind all day, every day. It's made up of little bits of information that you've collected throughout the course of your life. So every conversation you've had, every lesson you've learned, every relationship you've been part of, every single thing that has ever happened in your life has given you little bits of information that you've collected and stored back there. And you use that information to create your belief systems. Okay. So 2 uncomfortable truths, very important to understand. The first is what we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it's based on completely incorrect information. The second is that we create the circumstances to support the belief systems that we carry. So you can see how this could complicate. You're moving in a new direction. You're shifting your world into a place where there's more positivity, more joy, more love, more abundance, more whatever it is that you're looking for. It can complicate that because we are stuck, just like I was when I found this quote. We're stuck in those belief systems that tell us that things aren't possible. They tell us that things are limited, that there isn't abundance out there, that Maybe it's that the choices that we've made, and this is one of those things that now I just kind of go, every time I hear it. But you know that you've made your bed, now you can lie in it. Mm, how ick is that statement, right? And it's funny because just a few years ago, there was a part of me that was like, oh, right. But now every time I hear it, I purposely don't say that anymore because it's so limiting. And I don't want to put that out there because what we put out there is the stuff that comes back to us in one way, shape, or form, isn't it? Right. So, how does this subliminal soundtrack thing affect this idea of hoping, of that maybe, just maybe, if you believe that there's only one opportunity to get it right, eh, or that because of your past choices, you cannot change your circumstances, you may be like me and feel angry and frustrated and just trapped in your circumstances. And as long as you stay in that space, nothing will ever change, right? It's a self fulfilling prophecy. You are creating the mindset, you are creating the beliefs and the circumstances that validate those beliefs. Okay. You are creating those. And as long as you're buying into that and not doing anything to change those things, you are going to be stuck. You are going to be trapped. You will never change things. Okay. Whatever you believe, right? Whatever you believe is true will be true for you. But if you believe that life is a journey, there are many on ramps and off ramps. If you believe that what is meant to be yours will be yours, it's all available to you, no matter when you find it, no matter when you figure it out, right? If you believe that, then maybe, just maybe, you'll take action. And when you take action, you start to shift those things. You start to open yourself up to all of the abundance that is out there in the world. So, one of the things that it's important for us to understand is our mind is a wonderful thing. It is also very limiting. You know, its main job is to process information and to protect us from things that could cause us harm. That is your mind's main job. So, when you are functioning from your mind alone, you are functioning from the limitations of the things that you already know. And the things that you already know are based on the experiences that you've already had. Okay. Following me on this? Here's the thing, there are millions of possibilities out there, literally millions of possibilities of things that could happen, people that you could meet, circumstances, opportunities, so much out there that you just haven't experienced yet. Your mind doesn't know that. So your mind is operating from the information it has, which says these are the limitations. This is the box that you must climb into in order to whatever it is. But when you open yourself up to possibilities, then you allow space for those things to show up and you create the mindset that's actually looking for them. The truth is that we could have an opportunity standing right in front of us. A person, a job, a financial situation, anything could be standing right in front of us. But as long as we are in the mindset that there are limitations, we won't see it because we're not looking for it. Has that ever happened to you? Like, I know it happens to me sometimes. You're looking for your keys and they are literally right in front of you, but you don't see them. Do you see what I'm saying? This is true in our life, in our work, in every area of our lives. Okay. So this is why our subliminal soundtrack is so very important. So let's talk about this thing. When we are in this space of, I've missed my shot, there is only one chance. I made my bed and now I get to lie in it, right? When we're in that space, what we're actually doing is we're operating from a lack mentality, a lack mindset. And lack mindset tells us there are limitations, there are rules, there are only a certain number of, right? So, so many opportunities, so many chances, so many people, so many whatever it is. That's our limitation. So we're functioning from lack. But when we shift that into abundance mindset, so again, subliminal soundtrack, we're talking about different mindsets, right? So we go from lack mindset into abundance mindset. We start to understand that there is unlimited potential in this world. There are unlimited resources in this world. Do you see what I'm saying? Can you get excited about that, please? Because that is where it lives. That's where that sweet spot, that yummy, that creation, all of that, that generative thing lives. And that's where you want to create from. Because when you're creating from that space, number one, it's really fun. I'm just going to say that. Number one, it's really fun, but also when you remove those limitations, you might be absolutely amazed what might come your way. If you had told me 5 years ago that I would be sitting here with you on Friday afternoons, I would have laughed in your face. I truly would have laughed in your face. This was never on my radar. It was never something that I intended to do. It was something that showed up at the time that I was open to it. And because I was open to it, I took advantage of the opportunity and here I am. And that's what happens when you open yourself up. Things can change in a heartbeat. We all know that, right? So what if we could start to change them so that they would support us in creating the things that, like, everything, those relationships that are loving and supportive, the money that flows easily so we don't worry and stress about where things are coming from or how we're going to do the things that we desire to do in our lives. Do you see what I'm saying? The people show up that actually want to support and help us. What could you create from that space? That's where you want to get to. And you're here. This is a good thing. You're here with me today because that is exactly what we are going to be talking about throughout the show. So, one last thing, because I know we're going to have to go to our break in a couple of minutes. One last thing that I want to ask you is, let's go with this lack mindset. So there are limitations. I want you to just be with me for a second. And if you're in a position where you can close your eyes and just sort of sit with this as I'm going to ask you these questions, okay? Close your eyes and ask yourself, okay, so these limitations, feel that in your body. What are the limitations that you are putting on your circumstances? What are the limitations that you're putting on your finances? What are the limitations that you're putting on your relationships? What are the limitations? Okay, so that's that lack. Feel that like, I can't change this thing. I can't change this thing. And I'm going to share with you really quickly in just a second why this is so front of mind for me this week. Now, I want you to shift it to anything is possible. Now, pay attention to your body. Anything is possible. I have access. I have skills. I have everything that I need. I have everything that I need to accomplish the things, to create the relationships, the money, the whatever, the career that's going to help me feel fulfilled, that's going to help me feel joyful, that's going to be fun, and whatever your juicy thing is, right? Because it's different for everybody. So for me, it's that, like, juicy, yummy, playful. I have everything within me that I need to create that. And I have access to all of the people, all of the resources, all of the opportunities, right? Feel that for a second. What is the difference in your body between that, like, I've made my bed, now I have to lie in it, to, oh, maybe, just maybe, that's not true. What do you think? Are you willing to take a chance on that? What do you got to lose? So the reason that I bring this up, the reason that this is so front of mind for me, there was an interview I was asked to give a few weeks ago, and I was working on some marketing stuff this past week. And I went back and I was looking through this interview, and something just jumped right off the page at me. So the question that they had asked was, what motivates you every day? And I said, well, that's really very simple. What motivates me is that I know the pain of feeling trapped in the life that I had created for myself and not feeling like there was any possibility of that changing. Now I'm paraphrasing what I said, but that's the basic gist of it. So when we lock ourselves into that idea, when we feel like, okay, we're committed to this thing, whatever it is, and we're going to go more into this when we come back from our break, but when we lock in like that, it is painful. It creates pain in our beings, in our bodies. It can create health challenges. It can create all kinds of ick. So what do you think? Would you like to change this with me? Yes. All right. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. And today we are talking about this idea of shifting from those limiting beliefs into that maybe, just maybe, and seeing what we might be able to create from there. Are you with me? Stick with me for just a moment. When we come back, we're gonna continue this conversation. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. Today we are talking about how to shift our mindset from limitation into maybe, just maybe something else is possible. So one of the things that I just asked you to sort of go into your body, and really great quick tip, okay? Really great quick tip on how to sort of interpret the way your body feels is tightness versus ease. So when I talk about this, oh, you've made your bed, everything in my body kind of goes, eh. But when I talk about maybe, it's just like it opens right up. So that is a really quick tip on how you can tell what your body is trying to tell you when you are thinking about these different ideas. So let's get back to this whole idea of you've made your bed. It can take time and effort. Okay. It can take some time and some effort to change these things. And what you have to understand is that this is because these pieces are so deeply ingrained in that subliminal soundtrack. It's that conditioning. And we function from conditioning almost always, don't we? We have our value systems. We have our rights and our wrongs. I know that hitting a person is a bad thing. And it is most of the time, right? But maybe there are times when it's absolutely appropriate. If somebody's attacking me, then hitting them might be exactly the right thing for me to do in that moment, right? So we have our ideas of what is right and what is wrong. And we function from those places almost always. So I want to share with you, and I'm really sorry because I meant to bring this little plaque thing over, But when I bought this plaque, I want to share with you the story behind that. So there's this little gift store out, like out in a little tiny town outside my city. And I was with a friend one day and we went into this place and just sort of, wander around. We do that maybe once a year, twice a year. I don't know. We go in and we just look around. It's sort of the fun thing to do, right? And as we were walking around, I noticed these little plaques. They're about that big. It's almost like a coaster, but they have like a stand that goes with them. So they're really not meant to be used as a coaster. And so I saw these things and I went over and I looked at them. And I think I picked up 4 of them that day. So life expands or contracts according to, I don't know, it's another belief thing. So I have a bit of an addiction. I'm just, confession time. I have a bit of an addiction to these positive plaques and signs and different things. And if you ever make it into my office, you'll see that. You can see some of them right behind me right now. It's a thing. And I do that very purposely. Although I will share with you that I was thinking the other day, I went, yeah, I don't really have room for anything more. What if I find something I really like now? So we're in this little store and we're wandering around and this thing catches my eye. And also, one of the things that I always pay attention to is if I get sort of a pull to go into a store, if I have time, I will stop and go in, even though that wasn't necessarily on the plan. Because what happens is that our being knows that maybe there's something there that we need to have or that we should have. So I went and I looked and I found these 4 that I brought home with their little stands. And when I got home, I set them up in my office. And it was a little bit uncomfortable for me at first, to be perfectly frank, because I wasn't functioning from that space. I was functioning from this trapped and angry and frustrated and wishing things could change, but feeling helpless to do something about that. Okay. So yes, these things were brilliant, but when I put them up, it made me kind of uncomfortable. So one day I was sitting with this George Eliot quote that I mentioned, and I was sitting there and I was just pondering this idea of, it feels like it's too late. So some of the circumstances, I was a mom when I was 17. When I decided to go back to school, I went back with the clear intention of getting a piece of paper that was going to help me make money so that I could support and feed and clothe my child better, right? I did not go with the intention of what might I like to do with my time? What might I enjoy working at in my life? So my intention was all about money and all about responsibility and all about need and all of that kind of stuff, right? And, the marriage that I had at that point, that was with a person that I'd met when I was very young and in a completely different space. And I'm not trying to beat up on anybody here, but the fact is that at a certain point, we were no longer a good fit. We just weren't a good fit anymore. Wish him well, hope everything goes well in his life. And at that point, I really felt obligated to the vows that I had taken. Okay. So feel that again, let's go back to that tightness or ease. I feel committed. I feel obligated. I feel trapped. Do you see what I'm saying? There wasn't a whole lot of happy in my world at that point. There wasn't a whole lot of joy or looking forward to the next 25, 35 years of my life because I already felt trapped in that career, in the circumstances that I had created in my life, my responsibility, right? Radical personal responsibility. I was the one who made those choices. I could have changed my mind at any step along that journey, but I had decided. Okay. So I created those circumstances and now I feel trapped and I feel limited and I don't feel like I can do anything about this. Right. So I'm sitting here with this plaque and I'm thinking about, well, what if I'm wrong? What if what if it's never too late to be what I might have been? Like really, what if, huh? I wonder what that might look like. I wonder what it might look like to feel fulfilled in my work. I wonder what it might look like to shift the dynamics in my relationships. I wonder what it might look like for me to drop the stick that I've been beating myself over the head with for 20 years about becoming a teen mom. I wonder, maybe, just maybe, I wonder. So that curiosity is where that juicy, generative space is easy to find. And when we start to shift into that, we can start to change those circumstances. One of the first things that I did, in all honesty, one of the first things that I did, because, my body hurt. I sat at a desk all day, every day. I worked in accounting, still do, not as much, but still do. And worked in accounting. So I sat at a desk all day, every day. I didn't have fun activities outside of my work, right? Because that wasn't really happening in my life. So it wasn't like I was going dancing with friends or walking in nature just to be around nature. It wasn't like I was doing anything like that. None of that was a priority in my life. So I went and found a used Bowflex and I brought that into the house, put it together, and I started using it. And it was amazing how quickly my body responded to that because my body wanted to move, right? I was stagnant. I was stagnant from sitting still for too long. I had incredible pain in my tailbone and my feet. They called it plantar fasciitis, I think is what they called it. Even to put my foot down flat on the floor, especially first thing in the morning, it felt like a knife was coming up through my heel, both feet. So when I started to move my body, then that pain started to ease. And eventually that pain went away because your body is not meant to be still 24 hours a day. Do you see what I'm saying? Our bodies are meant to move. We're meant to use them to enjoy our lives, to play, to all kinds of different things, whatever that looks like. So one really quick tip on this is if you're in that kind of a space, what could you do to get your body moving? Maybe it's a dance class. I love dance class. Can't wait to go and start a new one this fall. Yay. Do you see what I'm saying? What can you do? Maybe it's a sport that you enjoy. It could be, like I said, walking in nature. It could be kayaking. It could be any number of things. What could you incorporate into your life that would allow your body and your being to have some space and some fun, to move through those energies? What could you do? So one of the biggest challenges that I had in this shifting process was my word is my bond. This is who I am. This is how I'm built. It's how I'm wired. And learning to start to see that maybe that was another limitation, that maybe it was okay for circumstances to change, that maybe it was okay for me to not follow through on this thing, whatever it was. I mean, it could be any number of different things. It was okay for me to start to make myself a priority in my own life. It was okay to start to enjoy my life. You have the right to enjoy your life. You have the right to have fun. You have to choose it. If you're in that trapped, locked up space, you have to choose it. And then you have to be willing to open yourself up and allow for that possibility to come in. So the truth is this maybe, just maybe idea, maybe it allows you to hope. It allows you to hope that there might be a different possibility than how you've been doing things. And when hope is there, man, are you willing to just sort of be in a space of, as long as I am still here, as long as I am still breathing, I'm still upright, there is always the possibility of something else that could show up that might change things. And if I want that to happen, I need to be responsible for that. Are you willing to do that? Because if you are, next segment, we're going to talk about a few things that you can do. And I'm going to share with you some of the stuff that I'm working on right now that might help with that when we come back from our break. So You're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. And today we are talking about how to shift from that locked up, trapped space into the maybe, just maybe. So stick with us for just a moment. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. And today we are talking about how to shift that mindset to take you out of that trapped, locked in feeling and into possibility, that maybe things, that hope, right? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to share with you just a couple of things before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. If you are able to, I would highly recommend that you go grab yourself a pen and paper to take some notes, because this is where the tips and tricks and stuff lives in this segment of our show every week. So if you can, go grab yourself a pen and paper. If you're not in a position to do that, go find the show on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can find us on the Inspired Choices Network app. You can also find us on over 450 on-demand and media platforms. So if you don't have the opportunity right now to grab that pen and paper, and something that I say right now resonates for you, feel free to go back and find today's episode and watch it again. Make some notes. Think about some of the stuff that we're talking about. Maybe experience that. What's my body feel like when I think this? And what's it feel like when I think that? Right? Yes. Okay. So there are so many things happening in my world right now. And it's just amazing to me. And somehow, somehow we're doing them all. I don't even know how this is happening. So the first one that I'm going to share with you is I am working on finishing my book, Believe All Things Are Possible. And we're playing with the subtitle. I'm not sure, but I think this one might be it. Break free of these top 3 mindset myths to create a life of joy and abundance. How do you like that one? That one is set to go, or the book is set to go to publishing this fall. So it will be coming out. Watch for announcements about that. Also slated for this fall. This is what I'm saying. Like, we've got a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out now. Monthly mindset masterclass. This is something that I have been working on setting up on a certain platform. We are very, very nearly there. So it is set to launch also this fall. I believe we are setting the first class date for beginning of October. Monthly mindset masterclass is going to be a monthly membership subscription thing that you can go on, and we'll be talking every month. We will have a class about a common mindset myth or issue or a challenge, and how to work with that to shift it around to support you. All right. That one will be coming out. There will be a VIP upgrade for a mastermind group, small mastermind group, to dig deeper on these things. So if that speaks to you, find me on Facebook at Jackie Mott Mindset and Empowerment Expert, or go to jackiemott.com and download 5 steps to create a mindset wired for success. You will get on the mailing list and you will receive emails as these announcements come out. Last thing that I'm going to share with you is believe all things are possible. This is something that has been percolating and living inside me for a very long time. This is a 12-month program. It is also coming out this fall. And if you desire to create a life with more joy and laughter, more ease with your finances, healthy and supportive and loving relationships, this is where we're going to be really talking about and working on breaking free of these limitations and the limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck and holding you back from going for those things. So very exciting. So again, JackieMott.com, Facebook, Jackie Mott Mindset and Empowerment Expert. Go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com or the app or anywhere that you listen to things on demand, and search Jackie Mott Mindset and Empowerment Expert or Time to Rise and Thrive, and you will very likely find shows and information all over the place. Yes, it's exciting. So how do we do this thing? How do we foster hope? Well, I've already told you one way and where it started. I mean, there were a whole lot of things percolating at that stage in my life, but that moment when I picked up that plaque and I brought that home and I posted it up in my office, that started to shift something because it challenged my beliefs. This is why I have so much of this stuff all around me all the time. It challenges my beliefs. If I'm having a really shitty day and I walk into my office and I see happiness is not a destination, it's a way of life, it reminds me that I have a choice. Okay. If I see some pursue happiness, others create it. If I see work hard, be kind, and amazing things will happen, it helps me to remember, and it helps me to bring myself back into that space of creation. Okay. Even when things get tough, because they do get tough and there's no avoiding that. That's part of life, right? So what can you do to support you in getting back into that space of possibility and creation as quickly as possible? So stop comparing. We had a guest last week, Linda Sunshine West, and she was absolutely brilliant. I really hope she's going to come back on the show again soon. And one of the things that has really stuck with me about what she shared on the show that day was she was talking about how like she's a writer, she's a publisher, she does all of these amazing creative things. And then she mentioned that she plays bass and sings in a band. And I went, wow, you're really very creative. And she said, well, thank you for saying that, because growing up, I didn't think I was. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. She said, well, I have an older sister, and, I was comparing myself to my older sister, who is, by the way, 8 years older than her, and feeling like, okay, well, she's so much better than me. She's so much better than me. Well, of course, she's so much better than you. She's got 8 years more practice, 8 years more experience, 8 years more. And maybe when you've got that same level of time and practice and effort that you've put into something, you'll be just as great or even better. Comparison is a losing game. Okay. It is a losing game. There is no one that wins when we start comparing ourselves and our accomplishments to another human being, because we can't compare. Everybody's got a different story. Everybody's got a different skill set. Everybody's got different, belief systems. Everybody's got different gifts and all of those things. You cannot compare yourself to someone else. And so as I'm thinking about what Linda said on the show, I'm thinking, wow, what if Freddie Mercury or Lady Gaga or Elton John or Pink or Cyndi Lauper or any number of other talented artists that brought a unique flavor and a unique gift to music? What if those people had gotten caught up in that same mindset of, I'm not as good as someone else. I'm not as good because, they play that instrument better, they sing better, whatever, they drive better, they cook better. I don't care what the better is. It could be anything, right? But what if we would have missed out on some absolutely amazing music and talent, and it goes in every area of the world, right? What if these thought, like Maya Angelou and all of these thought leaders, Deepak Chopra, all of these people didn't think that they had something to say? Do you see what I'm saying? So your job is not to compare yourself to someone else. Your job is to find your voice and celebrate that you're different. Celebrate the difference of your voice in this world, because can you imagine if we were all the same? Like, how boring would this world be? How boring would this world be if we were all the same? It's so wonderful that everybody brings a different flavor, a different voice, a different talent, a different whatever you want to call it. It's so wonderful that all of us have something different to contribute. And that's what makes life so interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so stop comparing. Losing battle, losing game, don't play. Second thing, this is something that it really cemented for me when my sister was killed in a car accident a few years ago. And what I realized was that as long as I am still here, as long as I am still upright and breathing, as long as I'm still here, there is always an opportunity for me to change. There is always an opportunity for something new to show up. There's always an opportunity. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? We didn't expect that to happen. So if we can be in a space of, okay, I didn't expect this awful thing to happen. What if there's all kinds of wonderfulness that we could just be waiting for that to happen too? What do you think? Shift your thinking. Okay. Shift your thinking. Third thing, you have to break free from the beliefs that got you here in the first place. I caught the last little bit of Ranchelle Van Brace's show just before I came on, and I thought, isn't this amazing? Because I feel very aligned with Ranchelle, and she was talking about basically the same idea. So there are a bunch of us that are talking about this same thing. If you want different results, you have to change the thing you're doing. And it starts with what you're thinking. It starts with your belief system. So you have to break free of those limitations that you put on yourself, okay? Break free of that conditioning that holds you in place, that tells you that nothing else is possible for you. Break free of that. 4, you have to foster the belief systems that will support you in having and being the things that you desire to have and be. You have to make an effort to do that. And here's the good news. I just told you about a few things that I'm working on right now. I just told you about some of the stuff that I'm working on right now. So do the thing, follow through. If you want to make changes, do something to change things. Okay, go look at what is out there for you. Find something that resonates, that speaks to you in a way that you know that this is the right thing. Okay. Your responsibility, radical personal responsibility, my friend. You take responsibility and say, I want things to change, therefore I'm going to change. Number 5, last tip for today, take action. Take action. So go and do your research, look around, see what's out there, see who you think, like maybe it's counseling, maybe it's a dance class, maybe it's whatever it is that you want to change in your world. Go see what's available to you and then take action. And I'm going to share this with you. I do this once in a while on the show. So if you are someone who is willing to take action right now, go to www.bookacallwithjackie.com. And the first 5 of you who do that and sign up for my Unstoppable You intensive session will get that as my gift to you for taking action. So if some of this mindset stuff is hanging you up, I'm here. First 5, it's a $197 value. First 5 get this as my gift to you. All right, so no excuse. Now you have no excuse, my friend. There you go. Take action. That is the only way that anything will ever change. All right, so we're going to head to our last break of the show. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about how to shift that mindset from trapped and blocked up into possibility and maybe, just maybe, what could happen for me right now. All right, so stick with us for just a moment. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to our final segment of today's show. I'm so glad that you joined me today. I hope that something that we've been talking about has resonated for you or caused you to think about things in just a little bit of a different way. That maybe, just maybe, right? It can be so much fun. It can be so much fun to embrace that energy of possibility and creation. And, you know, what could, if I had no limitations? Oh, here's a good one. If I had no limitations, what could I do? What would I like to do if I had no limitations? Those are some of the things. If you meditate, if you walk in nature, if you whatever, sit in a bathtub, like whatever, if you can find a quiet space and just start thinking about, what could I create? What fun could I have? What would I like to do? Think about those things. That is one of those spaces where you can get into the limitations just sort of melt away, right? We're dreaming, we're fantasizing, we're not putting judgments on anything. What could I? What could I have? Where could I go? Where could I travel? What kinds of experiences might I enjoy? What kind of dance classes might Jackie enjoy taking? Right? Get into that space of like, how much fun could I have in my life if I dropped this idea that it's too late, that I'm too old, that I've missed my chance, that fill in the blank. Those judgments are what's holding you back. So if you want to make changes, you must address those limiting beliefs. You must address the conditioning that is causing those limiting beliefs to stop you before you get to the thing that you would like to have. So we've talked about a lot of stuff today, right? We've talked about a lot of things. What it boils down to is really that uncomfortable truth that I shared with you right in the beginning of the show. What we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it's based on completely incorrect information. So when you want to shift things in your life, when you want to create different things, it is absolutely vital for you to foster that belief system that supports you being and having the things that you desire in your life. Shift your thinking, right? Shift your thinking, shift the way that you perceive things. The perceptions that you have are creating that belief system. And as long as we function from this space of limitation, what we are actually doing, we're going to create the circumstances that actually reinforce the limitation. We will create the limitations that reinforce the limitations. Do you see what I'm saying? It's that, like, what do they call that? Vicious circle, vicious cycle, whatever it is. As long as we keep functioning from that space, we keep creating the same thing that reinforces the thing that we don't want to have, but then we reinforce. Do you see what I'm saying? So you have a choice. You can break free of all of these things. It is completely up to you. What do you want to create in your life? What limitations are you going to allow to hold you back? What possibilities are available, and what could you do if you could break free of those limitations? Yummy stuff to think about. I would really love it if you find me on Facebook and you share with me some of the thought processes you have as you're going through some of those questions, and what would you come up with. I'd love to hear the fun stuff too. Don't forget, you have an offer. www.bookacallwithjackie.com. First 5 of you will get the Unstoppable You intensive session as my gift for you for taking action. So you don't have an excuse. If you want to change these things, if you really want to change them, there you go. There's your opportunity. Find me, reach out to me. We can have a conversation about what's going on and what you can do to shift some of those beliefs that have been holding you back. So that's what I've got for you today, my friends. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much. The quote that I'd like to leave you with today is another really good one. This one, I don't normally quote other people, but today it seemed very appropriate. Eleanor Roosevelt. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Some very, very, very smart people have actually talked about this for a very, very, very long time. So I sincerely hope that something we've talked about today has shifted your perspective a little bit, has helped you to look at things from a different place, and that you will consider the things that you might like to create for yourself and how to go about doing that. So we'll be back next Friday. We'll be back next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central. What is it? 11 Mountain and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is called Motivation. What motivates you? And we'll be talking about figuring out our own personal motivators, and using them to keep you moving toward your goals, even when things get hard, because they do get hard sometimes, don't they? So once again, thank you so much for being with me today. I love this time of week. I love juicy, challenging your thoughts stuff. So thanks again for showing up, and I will see you next week. Join me next week again for motivation. What motivates you? Because it's very important for us to figure out this thing where we tap into the thing that is going to help us respond. Does that make sense? Yeah. Money doesn't motivate me very well. well. So figuring out what those things are for you, tapping into those things, and using
Thank you for
them
joining
to
us for
support
Time
you
to Rise and
when
Thrive
things
radio
get
show.
difficult.
Jackie Mott will
Have a
return
great
next
week. We'll
Friday
see you
at
next
1
Friday.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.